Hey everyone, welcome to Pink Tutu Tarot. All right, we are looking at your career today. Spirit's gonna show you kind of where things are now and where it's headed, give you some advice, give you some guidance on, how to get where they see you going. So I've got 3 readings for you. I've got 3 cards, one from each reading. The first group is Learning Impression. See if I can make sure you can see it. I know the light kind of makes it hard to see. Learning Impression. All right, group 2, your card is Confrontation. And group 3, your card is Controlling Intervention. All right, so pick a card that resonates with you in some way. It might be the words, might be the picture, might be the color or the number. Whatever it is that's pulling you, go down into the description box. You can click on the timestamp for the group you want to see, and it will take you straight to your reading. When you get in, if it feels like it's not quite the right reading for you, you can choose a different one. Or sometimes it's worth sticking around and seeing if there's messages for you anyway. Being general readings, sometimes there are messages for you that will resonate, that you'll know and you'll feel it in your gut. And other messages that are meant for other people. Maybe you don't feel those ones. That's okay. That's all right. All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you in the reading. Bye-bye. Hey, group 1. All right. We're going to take a look at your career, kind of like the state of your career. We'll see what Spirit tells us, but my feeling about this reading is that Spirit's going to kind of tell us where things stand, maybe where they're headed, what it's going to look like for you. So your initial card is Learning Impression. And let me just see if Spirit wants to tell us anything specific about this. Maybe help you know if you're in the right reading or not. Spirit's saying you're going to be showing the world what you can do. And when I say world, it could be on a big scale, right? Or it could just be your world. Everybody's a little bit different. It's not a personal reading, so you have to sort of put certain words into the box that fits best for you. But let me see what else they want to say. So you're also going to be teaching yourself how to handle success as you're showing the world what you can do. You're going to be learning how to be more successful and to be more open to success. It feels, I'm catching a theme here, that for you, you may have struggled with success in the past. Maybe you've always gotten to a certain point and then something happened. And so and maybe it's conscious, maybe it's, not, but it's almost like there is a little bit of a fear of success or just a fear that success may not be possible for you, that you're forever meant to, only go so far. Spirit's saying you're starting to learn that is not the case. You may have felt that way before, and you may even have moments now where you feel that way. Saying you've learned a lot, specifically in the last year or so. You've learned a lot about what you do, your business, your job. You've learned a lot about yourself as well. It's taking you, let me get that message right, hold on a second. Spirit's saying it's taking you to new places in your career. Areas that you may not have expected. Yeah, they're saying like you've learned things that you didn't even know that you could learn, or or anticipate learning. You know, maybe you didn't even set out to learn that. But you've learned a lot in the last year, and more recently. And you're on the verge of a level of success. So wherever you are in your career, feels like you are about to upgrade. You know, it's not, you know, skyrocket to the moon unless you're almost to the moon now. You know what I mean? It's taking you to the next level is what I'm getting. What else did you want to say? Yeah, they're saying you're going to be experiencing success on a new scale. And you need to be ready for it. Because ready or not, it's coming. And so that's kind of what they want to talk about now is learning to handle the success. Learning to manage your time. Learning to manage your expectations. Learning to handle the reactions from other people that may or may not be so thrilled with your success. P.S. Don't worry about them. But that's just my P.S., not theirs, but I'm imagining theirs is similar. Okay. All right. So that's a good start, right? Hopefully that gives you some sense of whether this reading is for you or not. If it's not, check out one of the other readings. If you're not sure, listen, you know, watch. Sometimes you're called to a reading and you may recognize it's not 100% for you, right? In this kind of general setting, but there are specific messages that Spirit wants you to hear, and you feel those. Like you hear them and you know it's for you. Latch onto those, hang on to those. Maybe some of the other messages are for someone else. And sometimes, you know, you watch one of these general readings and you know, it's like your spirit guides had a hand in creating it because it feels 100% for you. It feels like a personal reading. So you just have to take it as it comes, right? So go with your gut, go with what resonates. Obviously, if you're looking for a personal reading, you can get one. You can book one with me on my website at pink22tarot.com. But hopefully I can get you some answers right here for free. All right, we have 3 of Cups in reverse, the 8 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles, and the 6 of Wands reversed. And I'm going to pull one more as the advice card. And the advice is the Ace of Wands. All right. Okay. All right, give me just a second. I want to take these cards in and get some initial messages for you from Spirit, and then we'll talk about what's going on here. All right, give me just a second, y'all. Spirit saying you're going to be taking on some new challenges that are going to open you up to success on a new level, which are going to bring you, in turn, more challenges and more success. It's going to be coming, you know, hand in hand. Hold on. Okay, I just wanted to verify this message because it's a little odd. What they're saying is you need to bite off more than you can chew. And I know the phrase is normally do not bite off more than you can chew, right? But Spirit is saying that this is something you need to do. Not because you can't handle something, but because you're thinking too small. You think you can't handle something. And so you're limiting yourself. So you're saying we want you to take on more than you think you can handle. Because you can actually handle so much more. And it's not a message of like do more, do more, do more and get burnout. It's not that at all. It's about challenging yourself beyond your expectations. So it's not about being a workaholic. It's not about working more necessarily. It's accepting that you can do more and you can do harder. So it's not necessarily, how do I put that, Spirit? They're wanting you to be more adventurous, put yourself out there more, to take on more challenges, things that are a little bit scary. And that you think, oh gosh, I don't think I can handle that. That's going to be too hard. I'm not up for that. Spirit's saying that's small talk. And they really want you to let go of the small talk because you are meant to experience much bigger. You are much bigger than you are giving yourself credit for. And that's where you're headed. Okay. Anything else? All right, so let's talk about the cards. So your first card is the Three of Cups in reverse. The Spirit's saying that right now you're not feeling particularly fulfilled. There's a little bit of a sense of discouragement or disappointment or frustration in what you're doing. They're saying you're not giving yourself enough room to breathe in your career. You've got like a laser focus on what you're doing. And you've learned a lot, but you're so focused that you're not seeing all the opportunity that is outside of your focus. And so it's starting to feel to you a little bit mundane, right? Because you're not, it feels like you're not challenged enough. You need room to breathe, right? Open up your, they're saying open up your energy, but that might not mean anything to all of you if you don't like work regularly on your energy. So what's another way I can say that? They're wanting you to open up your views. They want you to be aware of opportunities that are outside of what you're doing right now. In the same world, right? In the same universe of what you're doing, but a stretch, right? They want you to stretch. It is gonna, once you start to stretch, even though it can be really scary to do that, especially when you're starting to feel pretty good and proficient at what you're doing, when you start to stretch and do new things and you're not an expert anymore, you get scared. Or maybe you don't, but most people do. I certainly do. But that's how you grow. That's where the real learning comes in. And they're giving you credit for having learned so much up till now. But they're saying now it's time for you to stretch, to go beyond. Give yourself more room to grow. Okay? All right. So we have the 8 of Cups. What are we saying here, Spirit? Okay. Okay. They're asking me to look at the card before I talk about what the card means. And the first thing that I notice here is the ladybug. Ladybugs represent luck. Spirit's saying luck is on your side. You're at a point in time in your career where your hard work is being recognized and is about to pay off. They're saying if you really want luck to step into your career and into your life, do what they're telling you here with, stretch and try some new things. They're saying luck comes with a price, right? If you want to win the lotto, you have to buy a ticket, right? There's a price to that luck. This luck with your career is there. It's waiting for you. But you're being asked to reach for it, right? To stretch, to do more than what you've been doing, to challenge yourself a little bit more. Anything else with this card, Spirit? They're saying to be aware that as you stretch and learn new things and try new things, there will be things that you will ultimately walk away from. Just because you've outgrown it. You've moved beyond, or you will move beyond some areas, some aspects of what you're doing. And that's okay. You're meant to. You're meant to. That's part of growing and stretching and leveling up. Okay? And then we have the 3 of Pentacles. Okay, they're pointing out on this card specifically, that the petals on the flower are made of bricks. And they're saying you're building something. You're building something strong and solid and that will last a long time, even as you grow, right? You're building a solid career for yourself. This building that you're doing comes with help from others. So I don't know how well you can see this card, but there's a girl here and there's a couple of birds, and one bird has a brick in his mouth, the other one has a hammer. It appears she is in charge, but they're helping her. Spirit's saying you need help too, to grow, to move to the next level. Your success relies on it. So find people you can learn from. Find people who can help you. Find people who can help you grow in some way, because they are going to be a key to your success. Without them, there's a little bit of a limit to how far you can go and how quickly. Like eventually you'd get there without help, but it won't happen very quickly. It won't happen very fast. Okay. All right. And then lastly, we have the 6 of Wands, and it's in reverse. And I find it interesting because the 6 of Wands generally is the success, the victory card. And that's what this reading is about, is learning how to be successful, learning to handle success, to level up. So let me hear what Spirit wants to say about this. Why is this card in reverse? They're saying if you peak too soon, you will regress, meaning you'll end up going backwards. So you are not meant to reach the pinnacle of your career right now. But you are moving up. You're moving up to the next level of success. Wherever you are now, you are moving up. they're saying don't expect like this huge jump, right, in success right now. Because again, what they said is if you reach the pinnacle, if you reach the top too fast, basically it won't last. You know, it's like building a castle of sand versus building a castle made out of brick. So they're saying there's no rush, but you are leveling up. The success is here. It's still the Six of Wands. It's just in reverse because there's more success to come. More success, more challenges, more learning to come. But you are for sure on track to level up. Okay, all right, let's get some more cards and see what else they want to say. They're saying your work, your job, whatever you're doing is going to be seen by more people. So you know, that's going to vary based on what you do, whether you work for yourself, you know, what kind of field you're in, whether you work for a company. But people are taking notice. They're going to take even more notice. Remember what we said at the beginning, that you're going to be showing the world what you can do. And what Spirit's telling me is make sure you are doing more than what feels safe. Okay? Don't play it safe. Because people are watching. And they're going to be impressed as they watch you grow. Clumsy hands today. No? Okay. Okay. All right. We have the Page of Cups reversed. Queen of Wands reversed. Seven of Swords. Ace of Pentacles. That's beautiful. And let's pull one more to go with your advice card. And it's the Five of Wands. Okay. Okay, so we have the Three of Cups reversed and the Page of Cups reversed. Again, they're saying you're feeling a little bit disappointed or just a little bit, like, they're just saying like blah. You're not as excited because you're not, at this point in time, you're not really learning new things. You've learned a lot. But again, they're saying you really need to stretch. With the Page of Cups reversed, they're saying, well, they're saying two things. One is to be careful of what you say to yourself, right? Pages are messengers. And again, they're saying sometimes you can think too small. You can give yourself too little credit. But pages are also students. And it validates what they're saying about learning. That at this point, you've learned a lot, especially recently. It feels like you've learned a lot, but now you're in a place where you're just practicing, right? You're just doing. You're doing your job, and you're doing it well because you've learned. And it's maybe starting to feel repetitive. It's maybe not feeling as challenging. and it's not feeling as fulfilling. Okay. So then we have the Eight of Cups and the Queen of Wands reversed. There's a little bit of a sense here of resisting change. And change is inherent with the Eight of Cups. Where you are now is great. If you want to move up to the next level, and I'm assuming if you're still here at this reading that that is something you want, it means, moving beyond what you're doing and what you enjoy and taking what you know and what you do to the next level, right? That's moving on and allowing room for luck and change to happen. But with the Queen of Wands reversed, it feels like you're not as open to it. You're not so excited about learning something new at this point. And maybe it's because you've put so much time and effort into learning what you have learned up till now, that the thought of taking on new challenges maybe feels overwhelming. Maybe you feel like you can't do it. Like you don't have the energy or the inner power to do that. Again, Spirit's saying that's small talk. Don't talk small to yourself. Don't live small unless you want to. You have free will. But they're saying you don't need to. It's not who you are. You can be more. You have it in you. And you will even surprise yourself by what you are able to accomplish if you're just willing to try. All right, so then we have Three of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. I mentioned before, there is a need for you to learn from others, work with others, allow others to help you, right? Help you grow, help you learn, help you stretch. But there's also this tendency for you to want to just go off and do it alone. I don't know, what is the hesitation here? Why? They're telling me you're afraid of failing in front of others. So take that if it resonates, but it's like you would rather go off and learn how to do something by yourself than to learn from others and with others and take the risk that they may see you fail. But Spirit just sighed and said, you're not going to fail. You're not going to fail. You're going to show them how resilient you are, how encouraging and encouraged you are, how empowered you are, how brave you are, how smart you are, how talented and skilled and capable you are. There is no failing there. Success lies with training and working and growing with other people for you right now. So avoid the temptation to go off and try to just do it yourself. Again, Spirit says eventually you'll learn, you'll get there, but it'll take a lot longer and you'll get a lot more frustrated in the process. And there will always be some things that you will have missed by trying to do it alone. Okay, so we have Six of Wands in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles. Tell me what you want to... We talked about the Six of Wands in reverse, saying you are going to level up. The Six of Wands is success. But it's success with... it's reaching for success, but knowing that there are still more levels. There's more success waiting for you beyond. These challenges, this growth doesn't end here. But you are at a place where you are about to escalate. And this Ace of Wands, this hand holding the pentacle, is a reminder of that. You are being given an opportunity to become more successful, to show the world what you can do, to take on more, to be more challenged, but to be given that seed of success that has like divine potential, right? This is a gift from the divine. It's a gift from the universe saying, take this and run with it. It's an opportunity. Okay, that's wonderful. All right, so let's talk about the advice. We have the Ace of Wands and we have the Five of Wands. The Ace of Wands is a student, right? An inspired, motivated, creatively charged student. I mean, you can see in this particular ace, I'm sorry, I'm saying page, but it's really the ace, which is interesting because the words that come out of my mouth come from spirit, so it's not a mistake. So tell me about that. They're saying, yes, you are a student. But they're saying, be willing to be a beginner. Okay. Which the ace is a beginner, right? And you can see she has a book open and this flower is growing out of it. Be willing to be a beginner at something new. Be challenged. Allow yourself to grow and stretch. And you do that by saying, you know what? I'm a beginner. I'm brand new. I'm just learning. Please help me learn, right? Teach me. Show me what I need to know. You don't have to know already. No one expects you to know how to do something, especially if you go to them and say, teach me. So be willing to be a beginner. And then with the Five of Wands, they're saying, don't stop trying. Keep at it. Learn from others, right? A lot of people see this card, the Five of Wands, as a card of fighting, but they're not fighting. They're sparring, right? They're learning how to fight together. Nobody's getting hurt. Not really. They are practicing. They're learning. And that's the other big message here is Spirit wants you to learn and practice and grow with others who are also learning, or people who have been there before you who can walk you through it, who can help you get there. All right, anything else, Spirit, before we get to the final? I have a fortune cookie card for you at the end. Okay, nope, that's it. So my last card for you is a fortune cookie. All right, and your card is difficult times. Be on your guard against chaos as unforeseen perils or emotional upheaval are foretold. Such a scary card, right? Spirit saying it's not scary unless you allow it to be for you. But being challenged, being a beginner, being a student, leveling up, allowing success to come in can be scary. It can feel chaotic. It can feel like you don't have control of things, right? Because you don't know all the answers. And that is the whole point, Spirit is saying. You need to be willing to be a beginner, to ask the questions and allow someone else to give you the answer, rather than staying in your small circle where you know all the answers. There's so much more waiting for you. All right, y'all, that's all I have for you, but it's very exciting. I would love to know what you're doing, maybe what field you're in. Feel free to share with me down below if you like. I'd love to read your comments and I love to see how these readings resonate with you, but very exciting time ahead for you in your career. So best of luck and thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time, y'all. Bye-bye. Hey, group 2. All right, we're going to take a look at your career today. We're going to see, what is the state of your career? Where is it headed? What does Spirit want you to know? What do you need to know about your career? All right, so your initial card is card number 5, Confrontation. And let me see what Spirit has to say about this. Spirit saying you have been through a lot in your job. A lot of challenges, a lot of disagreements. They're even giving me, like for some of you, like backstabbing, like some negative energy really in your workplace. But they're saying it's starting to turn. It feels like it's starting to get better. Like you've made it through the worst of it. And it's almost like you're on the other side of it, or nearly on the other side of it. But you do recognize that this confrontation card is relevant to what you've been dealing with. Anything else you want to say about that? They're saying you can be the mediator at your job. Or you can just walk away from the conflict, right? And you probably recognize that. And maybe you're both of those things sometimes. Sometimes you are the one that's like trying to get two sides to agree, trying to calm people down. And sometimes you're just like, I've had enough, and you just go do your own thing. Okay, well, hopefully that gives you an indication whether this is your reading or not. If that doesn't sound like what you're dealing with, then check out one of the other readings. Otherwise, stick around. Let's see what else Spirit has to say. Okay. All right, we have the Ace of Swords, Ten of Wands, the Moon in reverse, Three of Wands reversed, and let's pull one more to be an advice card from Spirit. Okay. And the advice is Page of Swords in reverse. Okay, give me just a second. I want to take these cards in, listen for some initial messages from Spirit, and then we'll talk about what's going on here. So give me just a sec, y'all. Spirit saying you're not dealing with conflict as much as you were at your job. But it's still relevant. It's still there, kind of under the surface. Spirit saying you kind of know you want something better. You want something more peaceful, for one. You want something more collaborative. Something that isn't so disjointed and so they're telling me passive aggressive. Like the people at work really just don't support each other. Anything else you want to say about that, Spirit, before we get to the cards? Spirit saying you need to be available for more in your mind. So it might be that right now you're so overwhelmed with where you are and what you're doing that finding something different or making any kind of change doesn't feel very possible right now. But Spirit's saying you can make a change even where you are, if that's what you want to do. And when you're ready, you may decide to look for something else. But you don't necessarily have to leave to make this job better for you. Okay, well, that's good to know. All right, so let's look at the cards. So our first card we have is the Ace of Swords. I'm sorry, what are you saying about that? Yeah, they're saying there is a new energy on the job now for some reason. It feels a little bit different. People are acting a little bit different. Maybe they're just being quieter, which is why they gave me the passive aggressive instead of straight out aggressive. But let me see what, hold on one sec. You know, Spirit's saying that the people that you work with, your company in general, they're saying, and if you work for yourself, maybe it's vendors you work with or clients, but they're saying that the people are seeing things differently now. It's like they're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. They're understanding the challenges of the past and seeing where things went wrong and actively trying to be different, think differently, speak differently. So that's great news, right? That really means that this confrontation, this negative atmosphere really is starting to turn, and you probably maybe are noticing it. But if you're not noticing it yet, just know that that is like starting to happen, and you'll notice it more and more. All right, so then we have the Ten of Wands. Spirit's saying you have taken on a lot in your job. You've just piled it on. You know, just like this woman here in the card piled flower after flower after flower. And it's not that you don't enjoy what you're doing, because it does feel like you do. But it does also feel like a lot of different things, just like there's a lot of different flowers on her back. And there's a heavy weight that comes with that. A lot of responsibility, a lot of expectations on your shoulders. What Spirit is saying is it's time now to be a little bit more selective on what you initiate. You may not be able to be selective on what you do, because you probably have a boss in most cases who will make that decision for you. But you can make some decisions on what you initiate. Tell me more about that, Spirit. They're saying don't be so eager for change or to be noticed that you start recommending, you know, different options, different things, just to stay in a positive light or to stay in the light at all, right? Be cautious of that. Make sure if you are suggesting something or recommending something, that it's something you actually want to do. Don't take on more just to take on more, right? Be careful what you take on, you know, to the extent that you can. Certainly be careful what you suggest that you take on or that you recommend that the company do, because then they may look at you and say, great idea, go ahead and do it. And if it's not something you want to do, you may just end up feeling more burdened. So you know your company and sort of how that works there best, but take that as it resonates and just be selective on what you initiate. Okay. Then we have the moon in reverse. They're saying you may not yet be seeing things more clearly. You may be, but if you are not, you will soon. The shadows are, a light is being shown on the shadows, right? The moon card represents like the things that lurk in the dark, that when we can't see things clearly, when we don't really know what's going on, when we can't see everything, it can be scary, right? In the moonlight, we can see a shadow, we can see something move, and it's scary. Sun comes up and we realize it was just a tree branch, right? Or it was whatever, it was a bicycle against the wall or whatever. When the moon card is in reverse, it is like the sun is shining on the shadows, and you start to see things that made you nervous before with more clarity. You're able to recognize what really is a problem at your workplace and what was just like an atmosphere that had built up and built up and built up, but there was no real substance under it. And for whatever reason, and it may be different for all of you, but that energy is dissipating and is changing, and the people in your workplace or people you work with, their attitudes are changing. And so you're starting to see your job and your career and what you do with more clarity, which is great. Then we have the Three of Wands in reverse. Yeah, spirits, we talked about this before a little bit, that if you want to do something new, right? If you want to change jobs, if you want to move on, Spirit is not discouraging that at all. But they are giving me that you don't quite feel ready to do that yourself, to take on those challenges, the challenge of finding a new job, essentially. Sometimes you have to be in that right mindset. You have to have the energy to do that. So even though part of you may, still want to look for a job, do that if you want to. There's nothing here saying you shouldn't, but what Spirit is saying is that as things start to change in your workplace or with the people you work with, and you start to get more clarity, you may find yourself not needing to find another job, not needing to move on, because the energy, the atmosphere will have gotten lighter, will have... Spirit's saying something about weeding out the poison oak. Weeding out the poison oak. So it may be that some people left or will be leaving, that we're poisoning the atmosphere there. We're poisoning the environment in your workplace. And that can certainly create a change in the energy in your workplace. That probably won't be for everybody, but it's something like that. Weeding out the poison oak might not be a person leaving. It might just be a change that happens from the top down that puts everybody on more of an even level. So there's less internal competition and confrontation. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get some more cards. Let's see what else Spirit can tell us about this. We have the Five of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Fool reversed, and the Ace of Pentacles reversed. And let's pull one more to go with your advice. We haven't talked about the advice yet, but we will. Okay. And we have the Ten of Wands. All right, so we have the Ace of Swords and the Five of Cups. Things are starting to change. People are starting to think differently. There will be some people who still look at these changes that are happening and think they liked things better before. That it was better before things started to change. Let those people feel that way. It wasn't better before. You know it, the cards know it, Spirit knows it. I'm sorry, say that again. Okay, it may be a cause for some people to leave because they feel like whatever changes are being made are not in their best interest. And if that happens, that's their path, it's okay. But Spirit wants you to stay positive and focus on the 2 remaining cups. And it's interesting that the 5 of Cups has the 3 spilled cups, right? But there are 2 upright ones that are right behind him, and they're full to the brim, right? And right next to that, we have the 2 of Cups. It's not an accident, right? It's a good sign. It means that's where you are headed. Never mind anybody else. Don't worry about what their decisions are because we're all on a different path. This is where you're headed. So we have the 10 of Wands and we have the 2 of Cups. Again, Spirit saying be selective on what you initiate. Make sure you are taking on roles and jobs and projects that inspire you, that excite you. Not ones that are just going to frustrate you or, just make you busier. Now, you may not have a choice on some things. You may be told to do some things. But if you're going to initiate something, again, make sure it's something that you are hand-picking for yourself. And what they're giving me is that maybe you should hand-pick something for yourself and present it to your company. Or if you work for yourself, maybe it's you handpick a new direction or something like that. To let go of some of the other stuff. In order to do that, you may have to create a new role for yourself. Create a new project that inspires you, that excites you, that makes you happy, and possibly has you working with somebody that you genuinely enjoy working with, so that your company will be excited by that, will embrace that for you, and let some of this other stuff that you just don't, that is just weighing you down, let some of that other stuff go. Let somebody else take it on. So that's an idea for some of you. But certainly focus on the roles you can do and the people you can work with that are going to make you feel the most fulfilled and the happiest. There is an opportunity here for you to connect with somebody in your work who can really help make your job more enjoyable going forward. So think about that. All right, so we have the Moon card in reverse and the Fool in reverse. You're getting more clarity. You're starting to see things, as the light comes on and the shadows dissipate, you're starting to see things for what they really are and not the shadows that, the things we think are lurking in the shadows that really aren't. With the Fool reversed, it has you stepping back a little bit from wanting to take a leap. And this again comes back to, you may have been wanting to leave this job because of confrontation and ugliness. But as you get clarity, as things lighten up, you may step back from the ledge and go, you know what, I'm just gonna stay put for a minute. Feel this out. See what it's like to just stay where I am and see how this goes. And again, we're getting that similar message with the Three of Wands reversed and the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Now, of course, you can do what you want. Spirit is not saying don't look for another job. They're not saying that at all. I'm not getting that message in any way. Right? Let me just double check. Okay, yeah, they're saying no, we're not saying that. So if that's something you really want to do, do it. But what they are telling me is that as things change in your company, you're going to you may stop feeling like you have to, right? You may decide, you know what, with the Ace of Pentacles, like, I don't need something new. I've got something, and it had a lot of promise before. Things got yucky, things got terrible, got very ugly for whatever reason, but they're now changing. And so maybe other opportunities, maybe we can just, put those on a shelf for now and just focus on what I have instead of, trying to find something new. Spirit's saying if you decide to stay, you will find yourself in a much more pleasant workplace and you will feel better about staying there. If you decide to leave, you'll find something great. You'll end up with something great also. Because this is a time of more harmony for you, regardless. It's just, it's a lot of work to find a new job, right? Okay. So, anything else, Spirit, before we go to the advice? Okay. So for the advice, we have the Page of Swords in reverse and the Ten of Wands. Page of Swords in reverse. Okay. I'm sorry, say that again. I want to make sure I get that right. Yeah, they're saying first and foremost, especially right now, to be silent about your hesitations, about your frustrations, about what you don't like. Because the wind is changing, right? The wheel is turning. Things are about to be different. Spirit saying you don't have to air your grievances right now. They're saying your grievances are known. And that's why things have changed. And that's why things are changing. What Spirit wants you to do now is to just put your best foot forward, right? Work hard, do a good job, be positive and happy in your workplace, or at least outwardly, so that you are seen as a team player, so that you're seen as somebody who enjoys the job, that likes the company, likes the people you work with. This will help you. You will find, what I'm getting as a message here now is fake it until you make it, essentially, is you may not be 100% happy today, but things are changing and they are about to get better. So take on that attitude now. And just act like it's already better. Act like it's already better. And you will find it is actually getting better. And they'll see you as one of the team for having such a positive outlook and for just working hard and doing your thing. Anything else on that, Spirit, before we get to the last? I have a final fortune cookie card for you here. Okay. All right. So final card for you is the fortune cookie card. And your card is reflection. It says, friendships in your life may come to an end. Others could blossom and become stronger. Now, this could deal with people in your workplace, some of them possibly leaving, either by their own choice or otherwise, as well as you finding people that you truly enjoy working with, that make your job more pleasant and enjoyable. Spirit's asking you to reflect on that. You notice the card is called reflection. They're saying reflect on what your ideal workplace would be like. Imagine that, because you may just get it. We're pretty close to it. Things really are changing, and they're changing for the better, particularly for you. You know, it's changing better for everybody. It's just that some people will experience more turmoil and upheaval, where you are headed into a place of more harmony, believe it or not, even though your card is confrontation. All right, y'all, that's all I've got for you. I hope that was helpful. I hope it gave you a little, just the insight you needed into what's coming in the future for your career, and, how you should handle it, what you should do. And drop a comment down below if you want to. I'd love to read your comments. If this resonated, give the video a thumbs up. I enjoy that. Really helps. And mostly I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. And I will see you next time, y'all. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, group 3. All right, we're going to take a look at your career and what Spirit wants to tell you about it. Kind of where it is now, where it's headed, what you can expect, what you need to do, whatever Spirit wants you to know. All right, so your card is Controlling Intervention. And let me see what Spirit can tell me about this card, kind of help you know whether this is your reading or not. Spirit's saying you're being asked to follow some stricter guidelines when it comes to your job and your career. They're saying you may have been doing things kind of your own way for a while. And not that that was wrong or it was a bad thing. It wasn't. But there's someone, a boss, or it could be a client, who is stepping in and wanting you to follow certain protocols a little more closely. Be a little bit more on track with doing things the way they want it done, with the way they expect. So like, if you've been going rogue, if you've been doing your own thing, if maybe, and what you've been doing is great, but you've been doing things a little bit differently, you may have someone now that is stepping in to make some changes to that. So if you recognize that energy, then this reading is for you. If you don't, then check out one of the other readings. One of those may be for you. All right, let's see what else Spirit can tell us here. Get some cards out on the table. See where things are headed for you. Sorry, I said. Okay. All right, so your first card is the Two of Wands in reverse. All right, they want me to keep shuffling. Okay. The Nine of Swords. The Eight of Cups, and the Four of Wands. And I'll pull one more as your advice card from Spirit. All right, and the advice is the Moon in reverse. give me just a second. I want to take these cards in, get some initial messages from Spirit, and then we'll talk through what's going on here. Give me just a second, y'all. Spirit saying you're going through some changes in your workplace, and you should be aware of that. There may be someone new in charge, or some new rules or protocols or procedures have come down from above, or it's possible it's even like government mandates, something that is there's something that is coming in or stepping in or has stepped in to make things a little more strict. Sorry about the noise, y'all. I'm not in my normal place, and happen to be on a busy street, so I apologize. Okay, what else can you say, Spirit? I'm sorry. They're saying there's something about these rules that can be pleasing to you. Maybe you've been wanting that. You've been doing things your own way, or doing things maybe without a lot of direction. And for some, that may be enjoyable, but for some of you, you may be feeling like it is actually a relief to have somebody step in and give some direction, offer some guidance, kind of show you how it needs to be done or should be done, what they expect of you. For others of you, this may feel restrictive. It may feel like you're being punished or like told what to do when you've been doing it yourself, successfully all this time, that kind of thing. You may resent it a little bit. The Spirit's saying it's because it's not your ideas that they are implementing, and that may sort of rub you the wrong way a little. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're saying there's going to be some changes. I think you've already experienced some, but there feels like there's more coming. Things are going to get even tighter where you are. We're more and more restrictive. Okay. They're saying it's not going to be what you expect. So consider that for yourself. All right, let's talk about the cards. So we have the Two of Wands in reverse. Spirit is saying that you are feeling a little bit kind of stuck between two worlds. Or between, it feels like you don't know what to do now. Like it feels, they're saying on the fence. So you may be on the fence about whether you should leave or stay, whether you should speak up about these changes and about what you've been doing, or whether you should let it go. You're kind of just at a loss. Like, I don't know what to do now. Like, this isn't the job I used to have. It maybe isn't the job you signed up for, but you don't know what to do about it. All right, and then we have the Nine of Swords. Spirit's saying you're thinking about it a lot. You're worrying about it a lot. You're worried that everybody's looking at you. You notice all the eyes on her. It's like this worry that everybody is looking at you and paying too much attention to what you're doing and how you're doing it. And maybe you're thinking that's why these changes have been made. Spirit saying that's not why. That's not why. So if you're thinking that, it isn't why. Spirit saying these are changes that needed to be made. You know, whether that feels good to you or not. Spirit saying these are the right decisions for this time and place and business. And even for you, it is the right decision because it's putting you, or the right changes, it's putting you in a position to step back and consider what's next. But you are overthinking it and worrying about this a lot. Spirit saying, don't let this wear you down. You're not meant to stress about this and to agonize over it. It's just something that's happening. And believe it or not, it's happening for you, not to you. You as well as others, right? Okay. Then we have the Eight of Cups. Spirit saying, if you're not now, you may be soon. You may consider leaving this job. You may start feeling fed up. You may not like being told, you know, don't do it this way, do things differently. Spirit's saying you have to take control of your own space, your own energy, and light the way for your own future. You can't expect someone else to lead the way for you in your career. Spirit saying you're meant to be bigger. You're meant to experience more and do more and enjoy your job even more. But it's like this cloud of restriction has come down on you and you don't know how to handle it, so you're thinking about leaving. And Spirit saying that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Then we have the Four of Wands. You are going to find success. We'll get more cards and look at whether that success is with your company or with someone else. But they're saying success is out here waiting for you. Stability, happiness, joy within your career and your job. And if you notice, the house in this particular Four of Wands is many stories high. You're meant to rise up the ranks, be successful, go to the next level, if not more. You're meant, to work your way toward the top and not to be squashed. So keep that in mind. Okay. Anything else there before we pull more cards? Spirit is saying you are meant to be seen and heard. You're not meant to just do. So consider that. Consider that. And how that fits in your current environment. All right, let's get a little more information here with some more cards. See what else Spirit can tell us. Okay. We have the Queen of Cups. We have the Two of Wands in reverse again. The Queen of Wands upright. Let's get another one. We have the King of Cups, and we're going to pull one more to go with your advice card. We haven't talked about the advice yet, but we will. Okay. And we have the Two of Cups reversed. Okay. So we have the Two of Wands reversed and the Queen of Cups. Spirit saying you're meant to be happy. But right now you're in a place where you may not be very unhappy currently, right? You're just kind of, if Spirit's saying you're at a loss. Like, how is it going to go? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? What am I supposed to do? You're not feeling like over emotional about it, right? But you are overthinking it, which is causing you some stress. So with the Nine of Swords, and again, the Two of Wands reversed, this stress is over what to do. What do I do? What do I do? It's like you used to be happy at your job. Now you're sensing that things are heading in a direction that doesn't feel as happy and fulfilling. You're not sure about looking for another job, but you're not sure about staying where you are. There's all these thoughts. Like, you may be even worried that they may let you go. Spirit's saying they're not. That's not in the cards, they're saying. But it doesn't necessarily stop you from worrying about it, right? Okay. So then we have the Eight of Cups and the Queen of Wands. So you may start considering, as you know, things unfold with your company or your job, you may start thinking about finding something else, about moving on to something better, moving forward into a new role, maybe even with the same company, but maybe it's a different department that works differently. Maybe it's working with new people. If you work for yourself and, you know, there's been some restrictions that have come in from the outside, maybe you're thinking about making some changes in your business and leaving, you know, the restrictive parts behind you. Spirit's saying, let yourself get inspired. Be bold, be brave. There are no guarantees in life, right? No guarantees. But you're coming from a place of, if you're coming from a place of inspired motivation, you can trust that that is coming from Spirit. And it means you're on the right track. So if you really, like, when you think about leaving and moving on to something else, if that kind of lights a fire in you and has you feeling strong and good and empowered, trust that feeling. Okay. So then we have the Four of Wands and the King of Cups. Spirit's saying there's somebody that can help you get to where you want to go. Tell me more about that, Spirit. Yeah. This is a person who embodies this King of Cups energy. It may be someone you meet, maybe someone, is this someone new? They're saying not necessarily. So for some of you, it's somebody new. So it may be that you start looking for a job and you meet this King of Cups. It may be somebody you already know in your industry or in your workplace or a client. There's someone who offers very good advice, but they're also a very good listener. They're very understanding. They understand the challenges you're facing, and they want to help. Not only do they want to help, they're in a position to help. This person is going to help you move your career where it needs to be. They're saying this is somebody special. You'll know it when you meet them, or if you already know them, you know who they are. Like you probably, if this is somebody you know, you probably already know who I'm talking about. Because when I started talking about the King of Cups and like what they were like, you were like, oh, I know that person. And so maybe you reach out to them and you say, you know what, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what is going on. Can you give me some advice? And Spirit's saying that's what you should do. You should absolutely do that. Okay. Anything else, Spirit, before we move into the advice? Spirit's saying, you know, if you're thinking about changing jobs, to be aware of opportunities, right? Like keep your eyes and ears open, talk to people, but you don't need to go hunting for a job. If it becomes burdensome, right? If it becomes a chore, if you are like going after job after job after job, and it feels like this kind of frantic energy of like applying for every job you find, and they want you to step back, take a deep breath, and reevaluate. Because it should not feel that way. It should be an empowering feeling. It should give you hope. It should give you strength. As you're looking, if you find something and you maybe read a job description and you're like, yes, that's the job. That's what you should be doing, not just like, spreading your resume or whatever out everywhere. This is not meant to be frantic. This is meant to come to you organically, naturally, not to say you don't have to look, but it's more of being aware of what's out there and recognizing the right opportunity when it arrives, rather than hunting for it. Because that desperate kind of tense energy will actually block the right job from coming in. So be aware of that. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so let's talk about the advice. You have the Moon reversed and the Two of Cups reversed. Spirit says, first and foremost, before you do anything, seek clarity. Ask questions, talk to the people you work with and for, find out as much as you can about these new restrictions that are coming in or have happened. Because if you can work around them, if it's not as bad as it seems, if it's just, if it ends up being more minor than you think, you may decide you don't need to leave after all. And really what you're doing, instead of looking for a new job, is finding somebody within your company, or someone in your life, or somebody that comes in who can just help you rise up in the ranks where you are. But you need that clarity, and that clarity comes from asking questions and seeking advice. And being sure that you're coming from a place of clear-headedness and not fear. Okay? And then we have the Two of Cups in reverse. Spirit saying, don't be afraid to let go. If it feels right, and if it comes and it feels like it comes in naturally, know that it did, right? If someone's trying to help you, let them help you, but don't be afraid to let go of what you have, because where you're headed could be where you need to be. But there's a decision you have to make there. And you don't want it to be an emotional decision, right? Of staying or leaving. It should be a decision of clear-headedness and information, and then trusting that fire in you. What is it telling you? Does leaving feel empowering? Does it feel like it's the next positive step in your career? Or does it make you feel small, make you feel desperate? Follow those positive feelings. That's where you need to go. That's what you need to be paying attention to. So some of you will end up moving to a new position or a new company. Others of you won't. And there's not a clear line here, because this is a general reading, right? It's not personal reading. But what they're trying to show you is how to know yourself, what to do, how to get that clarity, ask the questions, right? Seek help from somebody you trust. Or if somebody steps into your life and you recognize this solid, compassionate, kind, knowledgeable energy in this person, man or woman, don't be afraid to ask for their advice. Don't be afraid to ask for their help. Okay? Anything else, Spirit, before we get to the last card? I have a fortune cookie card for y'all when we're done, but I want to... Okay. All right. So here's your final card. Your card is jealousy. Watch who you trust with your personal secrets and plans. Spend time outdoors with nature to reconnect and replenish. So certainly, yeah, don't talk about what, your indecision, don't talk about the fact that you may want to leave with anyone until you're sure that you are leaving. What you should do, though, is ask questions, right? Get information. And absolutely spend time outdoors. Clear your head. You need to, they're saying, get the spider webs out. Get those grinding gears out, that overthinking. Get outside, reconnect, get yourself grounded, and start feeling your own energy so you know what feels right. And you'll get there. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right, y'all. I hope that helped. I do offer personal readings if you want some more personal spiritual guidance here. I'm happy to do that for you. You can book a reading on pink22tarot.com. But otherwise, I hope this kind of helped you move in the right direction, help you know what you should do and what you should be looking for. So thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate your watching and supporting my channel, and I will see you next time. Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye.